So, the arrest warrant has been issued for Vladimir Putin. Yes, sir. The ICC issued a arrest warrant for quote-unquote war crimes. Very interesting indeed. So before I speak on that, I just wanted to lay the foundation again, just so that we're clear. This entire episode, this entire epic that's being played out right now has been fabricated and engineered from the very beginning for a little over a decade now. Actually, it's been planned, put into place strategically for a very long time. You know, just last week, you know, this had been on my mind for some time, but just last week, you know, I mentioned to someone that this was the week that I felt like something major would happen to tip the scales. Something major would happen to tip the scales, to basically to get the final buy-in from the world. Something needed to happen to get the buy-in, because when the narrative starts to slip, when the narrative starts to fade, something has to give. But why this week? Well, it had to happen this week because a couple of days ago, March 15th to be precise, was the Ides of March. So if you know anything about history, historically speaking, that a lot of actions, a lot of things have taken place around this time to usher in a full-scale conflict. So I'm not surprised, nor should you be surprised, that we have two incidences happening or taking place with a span in a couple of days in this particular week of this particular month. You should not be surprised. The Ukrainian people have been intentionally placed in a meat grinder, and that's why the term has been used to describe it, because that's what it is. Zelensky and the globalists and the one that is really orchestrating these events is doing so on the surface to set forth a blueprint or a model for everyone else to fall in line with. There's a reason why BlackRock and other organizations have already put their stake in Ukraine. This is why billions of dollars have been sent to Ukraine, because when this conflict ends and they go to clean up the pieces, those resources, those funds are going to go in the creation of what I believe to be a full-fledged smart city that's going to be the model for everyone else to follow or emulate. This is why we see what we're seeing. This is why you see the Ukrainian flag flying in Congress. This is why you see that. It's because it's a signal of not only the times that we're in, but it's a signal to let everyone know it's game on. We've been sold out from within. So, initially, like, I've been riding this particular issue very, very hard because because people tend to get lost in picking and choosing sides. People get lost in the weeds of what you've been told and what you've been shown. So what I've been doing is pointing out the other perspective so that you can see that that there is major propaganda at work. Major propaganda. The choices that we make are going to hold very severe consequences on what we decide to do. If you decide to support what's going on ignorantly, well, then it's going to be on you. You're going to perish for lack of knowledge, not lack of understanding. When everyone was so quick to change their profile pictures to Ukrainian flags and all this other nonsense, I got instant nausea. Because again, in 2014, I watched in real time democratically elected government be taken out in a coup engineered by officials in our country. I watched it happen in real time with my mouth aghast, and then no one else cared. No one else cared. Everyone was very asleep during this period of time, and I watched in horror a lot of things that took place in the world. And I took a lot of mental notes of it. So when this conflict began, I was already aware of the pieces and the players that not only would come to the surface, but would show their hand, their signature, their calling card with what was taking place. And sure enough, from the very beginning, those that were involved with the coup back in 2014 came forth again to be so-called subject matter experts about the issue. So this whole thing, in a nutshell, is to tip the scales of public perception. Is to get the last buy-in for the action that's to come. So what I'm doing here is letting you know that when this happens, when the event takes place, you must understand who really is at fault. You have to know who's at fault. If you don't know who's at fault, then on the spiritual side, you're going to be held accountable for it as well. Okay, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians have been deleted. They've been deleted. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians have been deleted. And you know the average time span of a Ukrainian soldier is 4 hours. Those who get called to the front lines is 4 hours. So, again, I'm bringing this forth to let you know that from what happens from this point on, you must understand who's at fault. And again, if you scroll through my page, if you read and follow what I'm showing you, it should be clear of who the players are and were and why it matters. Okay, so again, this week in particular, something had to take place because historically speaking, that's the time to do it. It's the time to do it. So, United States sends a reconnaissance drone. Crossing into no-fly zone territory intentionally to provoke action or retaliation. So it could be used as optics. You have to have optics. This is why the response was so quick. They already had a narrative ready to go and footage to get out immediately. To show everyone. And then to top it off, just to give the icing on the cake, you get the global community to trump up war crimes and issue a arrest warrant. Just to top it off, just to put the icing on the cake. Just to make sure that there's no turning back. There's too much invested. There's too much invested on what's to come. But I want to leave you with this reminder, okay? History repeats itself, right? Wasn't there another leader of a country who was tried, who was hanged, and the charge was not only war crimes, but it turned out that it was all made up. It was all fabricated. Through the same use of the same propaganda. And he was hung on television for the world to see. You can't make this stuff up. So again, if you're for what's going on, if you're for what's happening, then you don't know anything. You don't know anything about history. You don't know anything about who's running the world. And frankly, at this point, you just need to fall back. You just need to fall back. And let the people who know and understand, who's been given the eyes to see and the ears to hear, let them tell you what's going on and what's going to come, because we got to get ready. And I'm not talking about taking arms or anything like that. I'm talking about spiritually, mentally prepared for the choices that are to come. Because there are uncertain times are quickly approaching. Our infrastructure is being decimated day by day. The economy, it's all going to come to a head. And the solution has already been thought out. The solution has already been thought out. And through the chaos, out of the smoke, the answer is going to appear. And if you're afraid, if you're scared, if you're unsure, you're going to take it. You're going to take the solution. And you're not going to think twice about it. But we're in the times now, but where you need to think about what you decide to do, because you're talking about eternity at this point. You're talking about where you go after your body's gone. That's what the stakes are right now. The stakes are high. The stakes are really high. Start paying attention. Start taking this stuff seriously. We are the generation that this has been prophesied to happen in. It's our time. It's our time to experience this. But don't be in fear. If you don't know Yahushua HaMashiach, now's the time. Now's the time to be reading scriptures, reading that Bible, understanding so it can give you the clarity so that you can have access to the Father, to the Most High. The only way you have access to that wisdom and understanding is through HaMashiach. It's through Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus Christ. It's the only way. Lean on that, not your own understanding. Because time and time again, the word proves itself out. Day in and day out. Alright, so y'all take care and be safe.